Quote number 1, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. This means that when you practice too many things only once, it cannot have the same impact as when you practice one thing too many times. Repetition in a task creates a muscle memory for that task, so when you actually perform it, it takes little or no effort because your mind is used to it. You don't even need to think about it because you enter a state of flow. The difference that practice makes might be very subtle, but it is very productive. One example of this could be of a footballer like Cristiano Ronaldo. All the touches, skills, dribbles, free kicks, headers etc. Ronaldo does are effortless because he has practiced them a lot over the years. Sometimes while doing step-overs and cuts, he may not even realize how many and what kind of skills he has done to dodge one opponent. All the amazing stuff he does in football is just like second nature to him because of thousands of hours of practice. One thing to learn here is that we should practice in the right direction so that our efforts do not go in vain. Quote number 2, knowledge will give you power, but character respect. This means that having knowledge actually gives you power. Knowledge is the key that unlocks many different doors in various aspects of our lives. Knowledge helps us be more logical and rational in decision-making in our life. A knowledgeable person has the ability to acquire knowledge and apply it in practical life. But in order to gain respect, a person must have the best of character. Respect is actually something that you earn through your personality and contribution to other people's lives. One example of this could be of Bill Gates, CEO of Microsoft. He is a big philanthropist and helps a lot in improvement of the healthcare industry. He works actively and contributes in improvement of the education sector. One thing to learn here is that we should try to improve our character because that is something that can actually give you respect. Quote number 3, the key to immortality is first living a life worth remembering. This means that if you want to live forever in the truest sense, you should work so much in life so that the world always remembers you. In order to do that, you must become extraordinary in a particular field. In a way, you continue to live on even after your death. You are alive in all the work that you might have done. One example of this could be of Michael Jackson, the king of pop. He still remains to this day the most awarded music artist in history. He actually left this world in 2009, but he still lives in the hearts of his fans. One thing to learn here is that no matter what we do, we should do it with our heart so that we become immortal. Quote number 4, do not pray for an easy life, pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. This means that you should not pray that your life should be without difficulties, but rather sprinkled with difficulties so that you continue and develop at the level of your body and mind. There are different levels of difficulties present in different people's lives. If we look at the life of Bruce Lee, we will see that he had a tough life. He had to face poverty, injuries, failures, etc. He once injured his back severely during an exercise session because he did not warm up in the start. But he had developed a lot of endurance and strength to face all kinds of difficulties in life. In reality, life without any difficulties is actually boring because you can't challenge yourself and go to the next level in an easy life. Whoever achieves success in this world in one way or the other has encountered some level of difficulties in his or her life. Quote number 5, the successful warrior is the average man, with laser-like focus. This means that someone who becomes successful is actually not very talented or gifted, but someone who has an excellent level of concentration. This person has actually developed a certain level of focus over the years of his or her life. Whatever we are doing, we have to become one with it and understand it deeply enough so that we can figure out the solution of that particular problem. One example which is relevant here is that of shooting sports. It is a kind of sport in which a shooter is required to have an extraordinary focus. The target which is to be hit is hard to be aimed at because even the slightest of movement of hand or shift of focus can cause a shooter to miss. He or she needs to have a laser-like focus. A laser is actually a very narrow beam of radiation which can reach in much focused areas. One thing to learn here is that we need to develop an amazing level of focus so that we can look at our problems of life in much greater detail and we can actually solve them effectively. Quote number 6, empty your mind, be formless. Shapeless, like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle and it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend. This means that the mind needs to be cleaned up. In other words, we have to remove most of the information stored in our brain related to a problem, because having the same information will always give you the same solution. Additionally, we have to free ourselves from all forms and shapes in our mind. We have to shape ourselves according to the circumstances we are in so that we can pass through the test of time easily. We have to be like water, which can pass through even the slightest of gaps easily, or which can destroy anything and everything that stands in its way easily. Water can change its form according to the container it is put in. One example that could be relevant here is that of a batsman who has an aggressive approach to batting. If he is intelligent enough, he will change his style of batting according to the situation. He will completely come on the back foot and may start to play defensive shots because he will be smart enough to see that the situation demands it. His team can lose the match completely if he continues to bat in the same style he has developed over the years. One thing to learn here is that it is very important to change yourself according to different situations of life so that you can achieve and retain a certain level of success in life.